This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better media host or looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month free. And with that said, enjoy the show.
Hey guys, this is Angel Garza, superstar from WWE, and you are listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, to the most fresh news of the wrestling. So keep listening and just remember one thing: el Latino está en la casa, baby.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast. I'm back! But if this is your first time listening to the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 243. My name is Nick Howell.
And preparing for the horror show at Extreme Rules, which is reportedly so named because it will be 3 hours of footage of John Tenta's sweaty man taint. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to Busted Wide Open. There's a mental image for you. That one's actually for JB. I know she's probably somewhere hurting because of that. And thank you to JB for sitting in while Nick was out the last couple shows that we had. So shout out to JB. If you guys joined us last time, you did hear JB on the show. And if you didn't join us last time, go listen. But if you're here now, welcome back, Nick. How was your 4th of July vacation? How are you doing today, sir?
It was fantastic. I mean, yes, she did all right. It's good job, JB.
Yeah, she did all right. Wow, I'm going to sick her on you, man. She'll take you down, put you in an armbar, tap you out.
Thank you very much, JB, for absolutely doing a fantastic job with Sir Ian Dangerous, filling in for me while I was out. As you guys might can tell, I'm shedding a little bit because I was an idiot and didn't put sunscreen on my forehead enough times.
Why would you do that? There's no ozone layer left. You're going to get skin cancer.
Got a little bit of the Miller Lite in me.
Got the Miller Lite tan.
I forgot all about the sunburn.
Oh, my God. Well, we're not here to talk about your peeling skin. We're here to talk about the wrestling, and that means we got to talk about Monday Night Raw, which happened last night. But we can't get into that yet, Nick, nor can we get into New Japan and the fact that we're heading towards the finals of the New Japan Cup. We're going to talk about that today, too. But we can't do that either because we have to do some housekeeping first, and then we can get in to the meat of the show.
Yes, guys, come over and join us in our Discord community. That is the place to be. Live chats all throughout the week. Throwback chats with Mr. Andy Jessup, one of our awesome moderators in both Discord and Facebook. Thank you, sir. Love that you guys are enjoying all that and interacting, doing that kind of stuff as well. But we have dedicated channels for pay-per-views, all kinds of lifestyle stuff. Come over and get into the Discord. It's a lot of fun, a lot of place to be. We also have a Facebook group and page you can go over and post some stuff in. We've also got Twitter and Instagram that you can also like some stuff that we post on at BWO Podcast. And if you'd like to make sure that you get all of the live streams, every episode of BWO Daily, make sure you're subscribed right here at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you click that subscribe button and jingle that bell. Make sure it says all on your notifications so that you don't miss a single episode. But make sure you're subscribed because we've got some other stuff we want to do with that thing. I hope you guys are really enjoying BWO Daily. Sorry we missed last week. I had to take a few days off. But we've been back the last couple of days with some hot news for you guys, such as the potential of SummerSlam getting canceled. Also, one correction real quick on BWO Daily, just to get it out of the way. We were saying Brooklyn. It's not going to be in Brooklyn. It's actually Boston.
It was Boston. I said the Boston mayor. I don't know why I said
Brooklyn.
Right.
We meant Boston.
We meant Boston. Supposed to be in Boston, not Barclays. I said the Boston mayor.
Yeah. But last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons, our phenomenal ones. You guys rock. Thank you guys for all your support every single month. If you'd like to get in on some exclusives, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those reward tiers over there to get access to show notes, bonus episodes, Skype calls, all kinds of good stuff. But you can only do it if you head over to patreon.com/BWO and sign up for one of those tiers. As well as the aforementioned SummerSlam, Mr. Robbie RB, our current defending undisputed champion from WrestleMania for the BWO Patron Pick'ems Challenge, will be defending his title for the very first time at SummerSlam. So make sure you get in. You just got to be in that $5 tier or higher. It's up to you. You want some bonus episodes? You want a Skype call? Cool. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube here so you get BWO Daily every single day. Ian, we got a ton of wrestling to get to. I'm excited to be back. It feels good to be back in the chair and on the mic. I hope you guys are ready to go along with us because we're going to go break down Monday Night Raw.
It's certainly it's a lot more hair on the other side of the mic than what I'm used to, Nick. I'm used to having JB, and here and now I've got you with your gigantic beard back.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a shift, and so I'm getting back used to it myself. But also
JB homework assignment. I'm going to need you to go get one of those fake beards that you can hang over your ears, kind of like a mask. I haven't seen a mask yet that's a fake beard. I thought that would be a really cool novelty idea. Maybe I'll go make that.
I can say as someone who's seen JB in person that her with a beard would be a very, very disturbing sight indeed. So I'm actually going to advocate against that. What I'm not going to advocate against is the fact that the women's division in WWE right now has pretty much taken over and is the main draw on their shows. And I'm not mad at it because this week we actually saw more coming out of the Bayley and Sasha and Asuka feud, and Nikki Cross was involved. The fact that we've got Sasha versus Sasha versus Asuka and Bayley versus Nikki coming up at the upcoming Extreme Rules, the horror show, or the horror show at Extreme Rules, or whatever they want to call it, because everyone was calling it a different name on Raw.
It's a horror show.
That's all. It's a horror show. It's Extreme Rules. Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. I thought horror show was supposed to happen in October, but hey, it's WWE. Hashtag WWE logic, and here we are. But we'll get more into that logic later because there was definitely some questionable matches made at that pay-per-view. But we are promoting these women's matches, and we're doing that by actually having a lot of moving parts. We had Asuka come out to face down against Sasha and Bayley, who were in the ring doing their typical obnoxious heel shtick. And Asuka came out and said, "Oh wait, but I'm not alone." She also had Kairi Sane, a returning Kairi Sane with her head all stapled up. She came back as well and ended up having a match with Sasha Banks, which she actually ended up winning because Bayley at the end interfered when it looked like Kairi was going to tap out Sasha, and we had a whole scrum. And then later on in the show, we had a match between Asuka and Bayley, which was the main event of the show. And we had Nikki Cross starting out on commentary until she got so riled up because Bayley got in her face and Sasha got in her face. She got so riled up, she was carried out of the building, only to reappear at the end of the match behind the plexiglass and spook Bayley so bad she fell into an Asuka lock, which Asuka then pulled out of, rolled her up, sat on her, and got the 1-2-3 for the win. I got to say this right now. I really abbreviated a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
Both the Kairi Sane and Sasha match and the Asuka and Bayley match, especially the Asuka Bayley match, were lights out, awesome wrestling matches. That main event was hot fire. And even if you're down on WWE, if you just watched that match, you'd have a hard time saying that wasn't a damn good wrestling match, even with the fudge finish.
Yeah, both of them. DQ. One was a DQ for Bayley, and then, of course, we get the giant Hojo flying elbow off the top rope off to the outside the ring. Massive. Yeah. And then the one at the end was off the distraction. So, yeah, they're both not clean finishes, but I think that's what it needed at going into a pay-per-view 10 days from now or whenever it's going to be. So, yeah, I absolutely loved both of these matches. I have nothing ill to say about any of them, and I've traditionally been down on Bayley, and I thought this was magnificent.
That was one of the best Bayley matches I've seen in months, perhaps years. It
Agreed.
was like she was out there with lots of energy. She was running her mouth constantly. When she wasn't fighting, she was at the announce table, jaw-jacking. She always seemed to have something to do, and when she was getting beat up, she was selling great as well. And it wasn't just because she was selling great. It's because Asuka was also sometimes actually hitting her.
Yes.
At one point, she kneed her in the face on the outside. Another time, Bayley took a back fist from Asuka close to the end of the match that legit connected. And I knocked her silly for a couple of seconds to the point where Asuka actually had to stop and kind of slow down and then even check with Bayley. You even saw Asuka kind of nod at Bayley, like, are you ready to start again? It kind of killed the momentum of the match for a hot second. But props to Bayley for taking that and keeping on going, because that was a tough hit.
Yeah.
So both matches all around really great. And also because when you compare it to some of the matches that Asuka had with Charlotte, where it felt a little bit one-sided, the pace was not as intense as it was in these matches. You kind of felt like Asuka was always fighting upwards against Charlotte. Both of these matches felt evenly matched. It went back and forth. There was actually a flow to the matches where both women had moments running the match, and it was fantastic. As a result, it made Bayley look like she could actually stand up to Asuka, but at the same time, both women could at any point lose or win the match.
Yeah.
And it made it that much more exciting. Again, the pace helped as well. So both of these matches I felt were great examples of how to make both women in the match look strong. Even Kairi Sane, who I was worried they were going to try to not bury again, but make look inferior to Sasha, she had some great comebacks as well.
Yeah.
All around, this was a great way to make them all four look great and remind us that Nikki's still out there. Alexa's still out there, and play into Nikki's character of being unhinged. Having her at the commentary desk being crazy, having to be held back by Samoa Joe, who was a little freaked out by her, having her carried off by security, having her show up again in the crowd and be manic and insane. All of that was a great way to sell all of these characters and all of these wrestlers. Yep. So props where props are due.
Yep. Couple of super chats I got to get to real quick. Brad Shepard with $5 says, for Nick on his well-deserved vacation and having JB cover for him. Thank you very much. Not ringside news, Brad Shepard. I appreciate that.
Yeah, good Brad Shepard.
Good Brad Shepard. Also, Kyle at Line Drive with $5 in the super chat says, the Raw main event, a.k.a. Asuka feeding Bayley her teeth with knees, kicks, and punches.
No kidding.
Yes, well done. One more I got to get to real quick. Happened while we were offline, but Nick Guard 1 did just make the delivery.
Oh.
Josh Sullivan made an order of a Put It In My Eye Holes t-shirt featuring Sir Ian Dangerous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Josh, and congrats and welcome. Thank you very much for buying the shirt. Enjoy. Be sure and post a picture in the group or in Discord when you get when you get it. We love to see that kind of stuff from you guys. So thank you everybody for kicking us off strong.
Amen.
Overall, I completely echo every sentiment you just had about how all of this has come together, with Nikki being nuts again and Alexa sort of waiting in the wings as a threat potentially for the tag championships, whilst you're also having women's SmackDown title potential contenders lining up. There's so much stuff going on here, and it's being so brilliantly executed that I loved it. And I'm saying this admittedly as someone who has not been on board with the Bayley heel turn from the beginning. It's finally getting there for me.
Off and on. Yeah, she's kind of gotten away from the sullen Karen thing, and now she's actually she's being a brat. She's being obnoxious. Yep. Insufferable, as we said last week. It's a lot more entertaining. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out, is that it's not like a whole lot of the stuff has a lot of forward motion. There's a lot of having all of the individual parts kind of bounce off of each other one after the other without coming to any new. It's a typical WWE pattern where nothing really happens till a pay-per-view. Fine, but it's all staying entertaining because all of the individual moving parts are being wildly entertaining in the parts that they're given. Nikki's entertaining. Sasha's entertaining. Bayley's being entertaining. Asuka, of course, entertaining. Having Kairi back is great. And then having Kairi bring out the recorder again in the backstage segment before Asuka's match and actually playing their tune right. I couldn't tell if it was actually dubbed over, but
I think she was actually playing it.
She might have actually been playing it.
Because you could hear a couple of slip. You know when you play guitar, every now and then you'll get a string squeak or something like that, but you still hear. There were a couple of squeaks there in the record. So I think she was playing it live. Also, on that note, pun intended. On that note, I had forgotten what an absolute banger that song is, and why in the hell did it take 6 months after forming them of the back and forth between their themes to get to that song. Holy
Because
smokes.
CFO they stopped working for WWE, so they didn't really have anybody to do songs at the time, from what I understand. So it did take a little while.
Good.
But it is really good, and it's nice to hear it again. And it looks like we'll be hearing it next week because now we have a tag match between Asuka and Kairi and Bayley and Sasha. So another element that they're adding to this is that it's not just singles matches. It's not just the champs being involved here. There's a lot of belts floating around on Bayley and Sasha and Asuka. You also the tag belts involved, and you have a whole bunch of teams as well. It's not just singles. They can also operate as tag teams. Kairi and Asuka are a tag team. Bayley and Sasha are a tag team. Nikki and Alexa are a tag team. And there's other women's tag teams floating out. Iconics are hanging out still. And we have the tease of another tag team that we're going to get to a little bit later on. So there's a lot of other elements. There's another layer going on as well. So commendations for that, for keeping things a little bit unpredictable in terms of what kind of matches you're going to get without having a whole lot of forward movement in terms of the storylines. So that's actually, obviously WWE is a very specific kind of program and booking, and you're not going to get the kind of, in-depth, very serious stories you get on like a New Japan or something like that. But when you have something like this where there's a certain pace you expect from WWE, but they're able to fill that time with this many entertaining ingredients, it actually makes it a pleasure to watch. And that was the case this Monday, where you had, 1/6 of the show was taken up by all of this, and it was a wonderful 1/6. There wasn't a bad segment out of it all.
They gave Bayley and Asuka like almost 30 minutes.
It was like 20. It was like a low 20s, but yeah, it was a long match. It was the main event, and it lived up to it. One thing I thought was interesting, there's actually two questions I have here.
Okay.
On my mind. One is there's a bit of, I don't want to call it heat. It's wrestling. It's kayfabe. But Booker T on his podcast was talking about Sasha and Bayley, and they've been going around saying we're the best tag team of all time. Ha ha. And Booker T was kind of giving his thoughts on Bayley. He said, you know what? Bayley is good at a lot of things. In fact, most things. She's really good. She's not great at anything. And that was his critique of her. To which Sasha shot back, well, we're a better tag team than Harlem Heat ever was, so there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think about Booker's assessment of Bayley, and do you think that that's something that she's going to take and have that motivate her, or is that something that there's anything that she can do about that?
I think we're seeing an evolution of her heel character, and much like I compare it a lot to how I felt about Britt Baker over in AEW. I didn't really the heel turn starting on Jericho's cruise ship, making fun of Shivani, didn't really connect, and a lot of people were kind of about it. But it's evolved to the point to where now I love it. It's one of my favorite parts of Dynamite every single week. Bayley hadn't quite got to that level with me yet, but it's been a similar journey for the last 6 months as we've been on this ride. So as far as what Booker T has to say, I'm not sure that's going to directly affect her portrayal. I know Dog Ziggler.
He's hyped about this.
I'm getting to my point. I promise. He's telling me to wrap it up. My point is that Bayley is growing on me slowly but surely, and I think that's one of the best ways to build a heel character is to allow the slow build of it, because if you punch everybody right in the mouth right from the gate, it's going to have that sort of fall off over time. But if you slow burn it, it's going to build into something even bigger. And I didn't recognize that at first, but I commend them. Bayley has fully come around on me as an absolute awesome heel.
Well, you see, what Dog Ziggler was trying to say there, and obviously I know you don't speak Pitbull, but what he was saying was that Bayley actually has, I think, gotten more comfortable in her heel character. She's found an evolution of it where she's, you know what it reminds me of, and thank you for telling me this, Dog Ziggler. He actually brought up The Miz, and obviously The Miz and Ziggler go way back.
Another good one.
The Miz actually evolved his heel character where he was fine at first, but he wasn't exactly like jumping through your TV screen. And then he hit a point, and some say it's around the Daniel Bryan promo on Talking Smack. Some say it was before then, where he just got it. He got what he was as a heel and just played it to a T and became one of the greatest heels in WWE. And I feel like Bayley's kind of there as well, where she has the possibility of achieving greatness in her heel character by understanding what her strengths are as a heel and what she can bring to the table and the energy that is required for it. One of the things we were critiquing was that she didn't have any energy behind her heel character before. Now there's energy to spare, and it's coming through the TV more. So I don't know if someone coached her or she figured it out on her own, but it's working. So,
I'm wondering if it's an interaction thing with either Asuka or having Sasha there constantly, because when she just came out by herself before Sasha's, big return, it was just beating down the Bayley buddies, and she was coming out, like you said before, as kind of a whiny Karen, and nobody really connected with it. But having all of the little things to bounce off of, I think is made a big deal, big help for her, sure.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she can prove Booker wrong at some point, but time will tell. Time will also tell what happens with Kairi Sane, because we actually, as we reported on BWO Daily this last week, I think, Kairi's on her way out of WWE from all reports. She's supposed to have programs through SummerSlam, and then she's done and heading back to Japan and possibly even going to retire. That's the report. Also, there are reports out that they're trying to lure her back with more money and say, stick around. So the jury may still be out on Kairi and the way that they're utilizing her right now. Who knows? This could be her kind of last run, and they're giving her a last hurrah. Or it could be them saying, look, if you stick around, look what we're going to do for you. We'll put you in some matches, make you look competitive. So the real question is, what is the future for Kairi? Could she stick around? Is there room for her? Will they find something for her if she does? Or is she already mentally checked out and is happy to be on her way out? So that's a question I had about all of this as well. And if she does stick around,
still doing flying elbows off the top rope out to the outside, so that's not checked out.
I'm not saying checked out in terms of work ethic. I'm saying checked out in terms of, she's like, yeah, no problem. I'll come in and throw those high elbows because I know I've only got a couple of months left, and I can just kind of have a little bit of fun with everything and play the recorder as much as I want. So, the show opened, Nick, in something else. Speaking of people leaving the company, in a bit of a surprise turn, they brought back someone who had been fired. Now, this gentleman is still within his 90-day no-compete clause. He has actually been teased to appear at Slammiversary for Impact. So it was actually a surprise to see him. But this show started with Drew McIntyre, your WWE champion, coming out and saying, Dolph Ziggler, come on, tell me what the stipulation is going to be at our Extreme Rules match. And Dolph comes out to say, hey, man, this isn't Drew introduces Dolph Ziggler. This is Dolph Ziggler tells you the stipulation when Dolph Ziggler feels like telling you the stipulation. In the meantime, I want you to know that I'm not the only friend you screwed over. You also screwed over another one of your friends, and he's right here. And out comes, I'd call him Heath Slater, but the dude's packed on like 20 pounds of muscle. Here comes huge Slater out of the back, close cut hair, a little bit of stubble grown. He's following the 3MB, like the signature 3MB thing. Go away, get jacked, grow a beard, and then come back. And out comes Heath Slater to get in Drew's face and say, hey, man, remember when you got fired and I called you every day and was like, felt really bad for you because you were my brother? Like, we've known each other since way the hell back. You know how I just got fired recently? Where were you? Why was the last time we talked on the bump, which you don't even remember, and you told me you'd give me a match and you never did? What's up with that, Drew? This was a heavy segment. That was a nice little bit of tweaking that fourth wall.
This was the best promo Heath Slater's ever given. Fight me. Lights out. Just wow.
Even like taking off the glasses at one point and having like, misty eyes and everything. Yeah, no. What is it? Why does he have to be out the door and then come back jacked and give these good promos? Do you put that on Heath? Or do you put that on the company not giving him anything to work with and him having to, he even mentioned in this, the whole I got kids thing is real. It's not the 22 kids that y'all think I have. It's my 2 daughters, and that's real. I got kids to feed, and I got fired. And where were you, Drew? Like, was this just them not giving Heath enough to work with? What do we attribute this to?
Between the firings and the outbreak, I think they might have been up against a wall and were looking for content. But
No, I mean in terms of Heath, like where
Oh.
did this come from? Why wasn't he able to do this before? Was it just they had to get a fire lit under his ass? He'd been beaten down for so long.
No, I feel like coming out of 3MB and then throughout the last decade, he's mostly been sort of that kind of goofy guy, was never really taken seriously. He never really, almost want to say he was kind of like a Jeff Jarrett, but he never got the serious push. It's just being goofy and coming out and wearing hot pants and crazy
stuff.
But
is that his fault for
no,
never?
I don't think it is.
Like never getting this kind of like he wasn't in this kind of shape ever. Do you know what I mean? Like why?
Well, getting fired will motivate the F out of you. So.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is this? Do we put that at Heath's feet? Like you should have stayed this motivated. Obviously that's easy for me to say sitting on the sidelines and not getting ground down for years and years and years of WWE catering gigs. Yeah. So. Yeah, but it's something that's it's fascinating to see is Heath coming back and looking just jacked. Ended up having this match with Drew McIntyre when, Drew's like, I don't want to fight you, dude. And Heath pushes him. And Drew says, look, I still don't want to fight you. Heath slaps him in the face and goes, how about now? And Drew's like, all right, we're having a match. Here's the other thing, though. This would have driven home an emotional point so much more if Heath had been given a moment to really just wail on Drew. Like Drew didn't want to fight him in this match, Drew backing off, begging off, not wanting to lay him out, Heath getting in some shots, and then Drew just getting so pissed off or just losing control and Claymoring Heath later to shit. What we got was the bell rings, Claymore 1, 2, 3, Heath's down, and continues to look like a joke and gets buried. That's a burial, ladies and gentlemen, right there on your way out the door. And then Dolph Ziggler gets in the ring as Drew leaves to yell at Heath. Heath gets in his face, and Dolph Ziggler beats him down as well until Drew comes back to save him, and they hug and raise their hands and all is well and throw up the 3MB sign. They gave Heath the ability to go out there and literally bow out of WWE. He and Drew literally had a little like curtain call bow. They gave Heath that, but they made him look like a joke in the ring on the way out, and that bothered me. Because you had the ability to have a more emotional send-off and a more emotional event in the match, and that would have driven home more the point of this segment, which wasn't to say goodbye to Heath. It wasn't to show that Drew has done some things wrong in his life. It was to show that Dolph Ziggler is getting into Drew's head and that he manipulated this to create this questioning in Drew's mind of Dolph Ziggler and his motivations. You're trying to show something in a story perspective, and one of the things that would help that is by giving Heath a little bit of fire, a little bit of heat here. You don't give him any of that. You turn him into a goon and send him out packing on his back, embarrassingly, and that doesn't help your story. It doesn't help your feud. It doesn't help your program, and it doesn't help Heath, and it doesn't help Drew or Dolph.
See, I don't know. I think if he's fired. He's already gone. There's an opportunity maybe that he could be rehired one day. Maybe, who knows? Sure. But Heath came out, looked like $1 million, gave arguably the best promo of his entire career, and got in the ring and had a WWE Championship match. If that's not a resume for me to take over to another place and go, look at what I did. Look at what I'm capable of. Not only can I be a good hand, not only can I run a faction, I can also stand next to the toe-to-toe to open Monday Night Raw with the WWE champion and have a promo with him and call back on history and all of this. I think it was a resume-building event for Heath Slater. I hope he gets a job off the back of it.
It felt to me like again, no idea what was written on the card in the back and what they actually, how the creative went about this creating this segment, but it felt to me like they said, Heath, go out there, cut a promo about how Drew did you wrong, and then you're going to get murdered in this match, and then Drew come down and save him, and you say bye to each other, and that's that. And they made Heath look as good as possible under the circumstances, even though they were being told, bury Heath. Yeah. Because as is being mentioned in the chat right now, it's the WWE way. If someone's leaving the company, they can't even get a lick on your superstars. Bury them on the way out so they're worth less to other companies, which is, by the way, that is an old school WWE mentality. And in the modern day and age, that's a bullshit mentality. Yeah. And it was rhetorical of me to say all that earlier because Yes, I know that's WWE's way. They even were doing it with Dean Ambrose on his way out. Hey, lose to Nia Jax. Look like a complete goober on your way out the door. And I know that everyone's going to come at me and be like, "It's just business." It's petty, is what it is. I'm trying to stop myself using an F-bomb because it actually drives me nuts. It's petty, and when it shoots yourself in the foot. WWE could actually have done something that helped them with Heath on the way out. You could argue that, I'm splitting hairs here, but the problem is it's something that points out a larger endemic problem where WWE would rather shoot themselves in the foot than actually give somebody anything when they're done with them.
Fair enough.
So it's frustrating to me to see.
Now, if Nick were booking this, I would have had something where it looked like I was going to challenge Drew, but I actually went over and attacked Dolph and have Jinder Mahal come out and you reform 3MB.
Oh my God! Well, Jinder's injured, so thank God we didn't get any.
That doesn't stop him from coming down the ramp in a
hat.
suit. Yeah.
Well, if this was AEW and they actually let injured performers show up on TV, yes, that'd be the case. But
Kyle with the $5 in the super chat again. Thank you very much, sir. He says, nope. After Maverick, it's safe to say it's a Vince mentality, not a WWE mentality.
See, I disagree with that because we
too.
don't have any proof that Vince personally said Drake's out. From what I understand, most of the layoffs were just a company decision. And it was actually based on other metrics beyond just Vince saying yay or nay. And it's one of the reasons why Drake was actually he was in a feud. He was in matches when they fired him, and it's one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing, essentially. So and then Drake went down to NXT and impressed enough that they were able to then make an argument to bring him back. So at least that's from what we understand. So it's not necessarily a Vince thing. It could actually be a company thing, which also might be why you had Heath come back here. I would bet money that Drew, as your champion, pulled strings to make this happen, to give Heath at least some sort of send off.
Yeah,
I would put money on it. So to me, this feels more like a corporate decision, and then Drew perhaps even going to Vince and saying, "Hey, let my boy come back on." Because as much as Vince is the be-all, end-all, one of the other things that we're learning from a lot of these released wrestlers that are going out there and talking, and we're probably going to learn a lot more in a couple of weeks when that 90 days is up. One of the things that we're learning is sometimes if you don't have a relationship with Vince, sometimes you're just there floating on the ocean, and WWE does with you what it does. There's dozens of other people involved in creative that are not Vince that have a say in how you're used on TV and if whether what you're doing essentially, and also how you're perceived. Going to Vince and having a relationship with Vince himself is the best way to get what you want on TV, and that's what everyone has always said is you got to have a relationship with the old man. But if you have only a sort of relationship with him, or you don't stand up for yourself to him and go to him when you're really angry at what you have to do, it's very easy to just kind of get swept along on the tides.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what happened with Heath at a certain point. He's even said, he's like, I gave up. I was like, just give me whatever. I'll be here, whatever. So it is what it is, but I just feel like they could have done more at this segment, Nick.
I just honestly have yet to find a way to give a single shit about Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre. That's my problem.
And Dolph ended up, because they didn't really do a whole lot with Heath here, it made him look like kind of a dweeb. Like it started off he looked like he was masterminding a way to get in Drew's head, but it all kind of fell apart.
Then why attack him at the end?
Right. Like what I mean, why attack him? What was he supposed to do, Dolph? Like it just seemed like another screwy, stupid plan at the end.
Also,
so again,
we kind of live in this fantasy world where somebody that has been fired can come back in and immediately get a WWE championship opportunity.
This was...
I'm not even going to go there from a WWE logic perspective.
No, hold on. This from a story standpoint, it made all the sense in the world. Your brother comes in. Come on.
I get it.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of ludicrous stories, we have to go talk about Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, because this took a turn this week, to put it mildly. Kevin Owens was having the KO show again. He had Seth Rollins on and pretty much made it clear from the beginning that he didn't like Seth and was probably going to get into some sort of physical altercation with him at some point because he threw all the chairs out of the ring and was like, yep, you guys all kind of know how this is going to go. And Seth got into the ring. This was a really, I loved the dialogue here. And we've been kind of down on a lot of the verbiage coming out of Seth recently. It seemed very repetitive. His delivery is outstanding, and it was outstanding here again, but just what he's been saying has been kind of repetitive. This was, I thought, much more interesting, was Seth trying to convince Kevin to give up their past grievances and join him, and to do it in this really just supercilious and pandering and kind of just greasy way that just underlined what a slime ball he is these days, and was fantastic. And before Kevin Owens could give a response to it, Rey Mysterio comes out with Dominic. And earlier in the show, we'd found out that Aleister Black had been taken out backstage, allegedly by Seth Rollins. And we end up having
He was
Rey
right
Mysterio.
there. What do you mean allegedly? He stood there and goes, well, that sucks.
one down, one to go. And everyone's like, who did it? We have no idea. Who beat up Aleister Black? Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, speaking of WWE logic, but we end up with Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio versus Murphy and Seth Rollins. Another fun match, another well-worked match, lots of moving parts. Seth out trying to get Dominic to punch him in the face. When Dominic won't, he rakes him in the eyes. Lots of eye stuff in this match, lots of grabbing at people's eyes and everything. And at the end, Aleister comes out to try and get revenge on Seth, who's taken Dominic hostage. Seth says, go ahead and hit me. And as he and Aleister are trying to figure out if Aleister's going to hit him or not, Rey gets Murphy back into the ring. Murphy, of course, having his eyes gouged by, I think it was Dominic.
It was Dominic, yeah.
And then Rey gives a 619 to Murphy, 1, 2, 3. And Rey gets to pick the
We also got the
stipulation.
5-star frog splash out of Rey. That was
absolutely.
With Dominic ringside. I was just going,
Oh, for crying out loud. Dominic is Rey's son. Leave it alone, Nick. Let it go. It was 15 years ago, man.
No! I will never end this crusade.
Dominic has dark hair now, okay? He's a different man.
He's 6'5". That's not from the genes of Rey Mysterio.
Maybe Rey's wife has giant genes on her side of the family, and Rey's genes are recessive. Did you never take biology in high school, Nick? Come on.
Yes.
It's not how it works. Anyway, the point being, Rey gets to choose the match Extreme Rules. And what does he choose? He chooses ojo por ojo, eye for an eye. Meaning, and this has been clarified by WWE since, at the time, everyone has this kind of disgusted look on their face, and Seth is a horrified look. Everyone's kind of like, what? Rey, what are you talking about? No. That's really what it is. The only way you can win the match is if you extract the other person's eye. That's literally what WWE's tweeted out.
So now horror show actually has meaning.
They're doubling down on all this horror show stuff. It's not just gonna be Bray and Braun out in a swamp, trying to drink Bailey's from a shoe. It's actually going to be Rey Mysterio trying to pull out Seth Rollins' eyeball and vice versa. What? So, okay, timeout, hold the horses, stop the merry-go-round. How are they going to pull this off, pardon the pun?
I guess Rey Mysterio's into torture porn, torture horror.
I guess.
He's been watching Hostel too many times.
Yeah, right. But this is what I'm saying. Okay, hold on. So we all know at this point that Rey is operating without a contract with WWE. He could be one step out the door. Allegedly, he asked for a raise and Vince said no. So we don't know what his contract status is. This is not the first time that this has happened with Rey Mysterio. But here we are. Rey could walk. Is he going to walk away after they kayfabe pull his eyeball out? Or, conversely, is Seth Rollins going to lose an eyeball and walk around looking like PCO here?
Kyle with the $2 super chat says Kevin looked at Rey like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Everybody.
Everybody.
At Rey like,
even
what?
Commentary was scrambling to go, what? Oh my God, what does he even mean by that?
Esme, $50
Jesus, woman.
$50. You beautiful, beautiful woman. Esme, thank you. $50 in the super chat saying, working late, so missing the show. But here's a tip. Change your socks frequently. That's her tip. That's
solid tip.
very true.
Or just
Very
don't wear
true.
socks. I'm a no socks kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm on the Matt Riddle train where
Yeah.
I wear shoes as little as possible and socks the same way.
Especially the last
Esme,
few months.
thank you so much, love. Good luck at work.
Yeah.
Much love.
Thank
And
you.
when you listen to this later, just know we love you.
Yes.
Thank you. So okay, eye for an eye. I'm still trying to pick my jaw off the floor off about this because I'm not sure if this is fun, insane entertainment or if this is just dumb. Might be both. Might be both. Where let's say you pull someone's eye out. Now, either you could have Ray go away, and that's that. And he's already got the kind of one-eyed masks going, so maybe they pull out that eye. He just keeps wearing a one-eyed mask for the rest of his career in WWE if he sticks around, or just leaves and we never have to worry about it again. Or conversely, Seth wears an eye patch or a contact in one eye, and he's kind of like Thor in the Marvel movies where like one eye is always kind of goofy. You know what I mean? Because he loses the eye. And
dude, he could totally pull off a Solid Snake look right now.
But for how long? Like we did it for a little bit in AEW, right? Where you had Moxley and
Mox.
And Santana had an eye for an eye match where like they damaged the eyeballs, but they weren't losing an eye, right?
Ray says, I'm literally going to take one of your eyeballs
literally
out.
Take your eyeball out. And WWE's saying it's the match is over when you pluck the eyeball, when you remove the eyeball. This isn't like poking the eye, you know, the little thumb to the eye, and that's the end of the match. They're talking about removing the eye. What?
I've done entirely too much gagging this show. Just between you talking about licking taint at the beginning and talking about plucking eyeballs out now. Just good Lord.
As long as you just don't think about them at the same time. Like, you know,
no,
like a tent of taint on the eyeball dangling. And it's just like, that's just dirty. The pink eye right there. Quick way to get some pink dangly eyes. Anyway, so, okay. We gotta move on from this, but just how are they going to get around this in kayfabe if either of these guys sticks around in WWE? How can you have a match where someone loses an eye and continue this in kayfabe for all time? For all time. Y'all got to live with this.
I mean, you could go to a slaughterhouse and get a cow eye and get it in a little jar or a Ziploc bag, and they could gimmick that.
No, I'm not saying mechanically how do you do it in the match. Obviously, there's a lot of gimmick stuff you can do.
Yeah.
I'm saying how do you deal with this storyline-wise afterwards where Seth lost a damn eye? He ain't going to wear an eye patch for the rest of his career.
No. I don't think so.
We just one day he has an eyeball. He's like, oh, yeah, it's a fake eyeball. And we never speak about this again?
No, he could totally pull a Thor. Spoiler alert. And
that's what I just said.
Give him a glass eye.
Yeah. And you can just say, oh, yeah, no, it's a glass. For the rest of his career, be like, yeah, it's a glass eye.
Oh, yeah.
That's stupid.
It is. It's incredibly stupid. Like, who thought this would be a good idea?
Pritchard and Vince, apparently, among other people. Whoever else vetted it. Whoever else said, we're doing this.
Oh, that's good. That is good. Kyle with the $2 super chat says pull a Vader and pop it back in afterwards.
That's really the only way they can do it is have a gimmick where you actually see the eyeball hanging out and then he just puts it back in. You know, I wonder if they could do it on a Stan Hansen lariat move. That would be like what a great homage that would be.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle.
If Kevin Owens pulls a Vader bomb in this match, we'll know that's what they're thinking.
Yep.
Yeah. Also on the show, speaking of big burly dudes doing big burly things, Bobby Lashley and MVP debuted the new U.S. title. They came out, MVP saying, hey, man, I beat Apollo in a non-title match. Therefore, I'm kind of the uncrowned U.S. champion. It's time we had an update on that U.S. title. So I had a new one made. And when I beat Apollo Crews at Extreme Rules, I will be the U.S. champion for the third time. Meanwhile, Lashley standing right next to him like, yeah, that's right. And I'm sitting there going, why isn't Lashley going for this? Why is it MVP? Luckily, I got to say, Nick, I feel like they explained that to my satisfaction with how they're handling MVP and Lashley.
Before I go on to my own little, dialogue here, I want to say Will May with $20 in the super chat. Thank you very much, Will.
Brother.
Says, wrestling has been stale for me lately, but you guys make me remember the things I really enjoy about it. Shots on me. Shot.
If I weren't strapped into my computer here, I'm about like 5 feet away. I'm like, I'm trying to use my force powers to get. I'll get it soon.
I feel like this is the Nick Eats Crow episode of Busted Wide Open, because I said what I said earlier about Bailey.
Yes.
Come around. I remember being what when it leaked that MVP was going to be coming back for Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been wishy-washy on, is this really working or not? Kind of, what are they going to end up doing with him? I mean, MVP might be one of the all-stars of Monday Night Raw right now.
No, not might be.
Like,
he
he's
100%
carrying stuff.
He's, holy crap. Like, to not a Paul Heyman level. Paul Heyman's kind of fallen off and is just doing like the Brock speech for the last few years. But he's making every segment that he's in mean something. And he's making guys that don't mean anything mean something. He's making Apollo seem like a champion that we want to believe in, who's being hassled by a scumbag that we want to see beaten. He's making Lashley look like an unstoppable monster. He even made Cedric Alexander look sympathetic on this show, and he made Ricochet look like a bigger deal than Cedric, which puts Ricochet over. That's 4 dudes. And in the meantime, he's making himself look good too, because as the commentary was putting over, they're playing it like MVP is this mastermind, where he's masterminding a way to get all of these things done, a way to get himself to beat Apollo, a way to make Lashley look like a big deal, a way to trick Lashley into being his muscle without actually Lashley getting anything out of it aside from working for MVP. It's made it feel like he's manipulating Lashley. It makes it feel like he's manipulating Apollo. He's trying to manipulate Cedric, and he may actually be. It's MVP is the MVP of Raw right now. Yeah. And this whole mid-card division, which Bruce Mitchell pointed out that it was like, he was like, it's kind of like they stuffed all the black guys down into one division to keep them from being in the top title division. And I'm sitting here going, this is one of the best stories on Monday Night Raw. I don't care who's involved in it. It's making all of them look good.
Yeah.
Even though it's in the mid card, it's one of your top titles, and it's making all of these guys relevant. So Bruce, stop complaining and just enjoy the fact all these dudes are on TV and doing something interesting.
Yes. And he's out there beating Ricochet and Cedric Alexander in his suit.
In a suit. And that was great too, because it seemed like he was out there just to basically, again, manipulating the match to be in there as much as possible to allow Lashley then to come in and finish them off, which he did. Because we've shown that Lashley can beat both these guys. Okay, we're not going to get into how we feel about Ricochet and Cedric kind of being pushed down a little bit in terms of importance. That's how we've established what Lashley is. We've established what they are. Okay. And we even had a bit later on when MVP goes to Cedric and says, why don't you come work for me and stop being in Ricochet's shadow? And Cedric goes, how am I in Ricochet's shadow? And MVP goes, you got a 365 special made about you? No? Hang out with MVP. Big things could happen. So
I was sitting there going, I don't know if I could resist not joining, seeing at how Cedric's been treated. So,
yeah.
Kyle, $20 in the super chat. Thank you so much, dude.
Brother.
Damn,
thank
dude.
You guys are
killing it today. Well, he said he was extremely sensitive over this title change because it's a wrestling with the old belt, but the new belt really looks great. Like, I can see that U.S. title be a world title for a military wrestling promotion.
Yeah, let's talk about the title real quick. Good call, Kyle. Let's talk.
I was going to get to that, but let's just go.
I was too busy, I was too busy
fawning over MVP.
Yeah,
both of us.
And the booking in this division, which on paper seems very straightforward, but MVP is elevating everything. So, the new title, or as I like to call it, the Hall of Justice Judge Dredd title.
Meanwhile,
no, I'm talking like I am the law.
Oh, Dredd. Yeah.
Yeah, not Sylvester Stallone either, like the Carl Urban Judge Dredd,
Yeah.
like the comic book Judge Dredd is what it kind of looks like. Yeah, it looks nice. And it's funny, I didn't realize, I at first I was kind of like, okay, it's not bad. And then I saw it against the old US title, and I was like, yeah, it does kind of look actually a little bit more, it pops more than the old one. Not that the old one's bad, it's just this one does pop more.
Yep.
But then I saw a mock-up of it where the top kind of quadrants where the stars are was painted navy. Like the background of the stars was painted navy, and that looked even better. And now I can't unsee that. So yes, I think it looks very nice. At an angle, you can actually see a little bit more of the beveling, and it actually really looks nice from the side. It pops a lot on TV. But man, once I saw that navy, I couldn't unsee it, and it that does look better. So now, like every time I see it, I'm like, no, it should be navy up there. But yeah,
the old U.S. title definitely has a very big place in my heart between what Cena did with it with the Open Challenge, all of the battles with Rusev. I love the look of it's very USA. It's it's America title. But this one with like the gold chevron and just it just makes it look like it's important, and it gives it some stature, whereas the other one was mostly red and blue without a lot of white pop kind of to it.
Yeah, it was
this
flag.
One is it's like gold. Like you can't not see this thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Will James in the super chat, $20 again. God,
you guys
awesome.
are spoiling us today. What's going on?
I love you.
Thank you.
He says, I also like the old title, but the new title ain't bad. Reminds me of a World Series ring or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen. It's a pretty cool design, and I gotta say, man, they introduced that new Intercontinental title, which just looks like nothing. I would love it if they did something like this to the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Have like the world in this kind of bas relief like they have on this. So yeah, this is definitely, as far as title reveals go, it's on the top side. Definitely dig it. So
yeah.
All right. One quick last thing about MVP. He's facing Apollo at Extreme Rules. Based on what we're seeing, should MVP take it, or is Lashley inevitable like Thanos at this point, where he's got to be the guy who ultimately gets this U.S. title?
I think it needs to be Lashley. I think MVP getting it might make it a little silly. Even though he's doing all of this amazing work, I still want him to be an advocate. I don't want him to be working. Every now and then in an exhibition, Lashley needs a tag partner. Fine, I get it. But I want to see Dick Heel in a suit advocate MVP who, listen, he doesn't need to do the in-ring work. Lashley needs a mouthpiece.
Yes.
And that is the role that he should, again, keep building this faction, keep doing all the little side back alley talks with the different superstars to try to recruit them. Yes, all of that. The in-ring stuff, he doesn't need to be that.
This is how to use a legacy star or an older star. This is how to use them to put over new guys. Have them. This is almost like a New Japan dad or something like that. Like, they don't even have anything like this in AEW, where it's strictly like managers. Maybe a Matt Hardy with Private Party kind of, where you've got MVP here, and he's just in the mix of these couple of different feuds. And this, there's one major central feud and then little things going on around it. But he is the fulcrum that's turning everything around. He doesn't win matches. He only won the one against Apollo because Lashley interfered. But aside from that, he's been shown as being somewhat underpowered to the younger guys.
Yeah.
Right. One-on-one against Ricochet, he'd lose.
Yeah.
One-on-one against Cedric, he'd lose. That's the perception we're being given. And that's the correct thing to do, is say, no. His days of being a top wrestler are behind him, but it's his mind that's keeping him in the game. He can still go in and wrestle, but that's how you put over the new guys. That's how you utilize an older guy in these kinds of feuds. So around compliments.
And I love that it's being done around the U.S. Championship, especially with MVP's legacy with the U.S. title. So I just he's one of the, as he said it on the show, one of the greatest U.S. champions of all time. So
that might be a little bit of an overstatement, but I'll go with it. We'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Yeah.
We'll go for the sake of kayfabe. Now, that being said, older superstars that are working with younger guys, and it's a little more hit or miss to me. Big Show and Randy Orton. Obviously, they're having a feud because Randy did did Edge and Christian dirty, and Big Show's now mad about that. He's a big angry giant. And this week we had a 6-man tag match, Big Show and the Viking Raiders versus Andrade, Angel Garza, and Randy Orton. And this was really, the dynamics they set up for this were really interesting. You had Big Show back there with the Viking Raiders in the back. The Viking Raiders were goofing off and joking around about their bowling and how they beat the Street Profits of bowling. Big Show, he seriouses them up by slapping them hard on the chest, which was beautiful. No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. He was making them serious. iPhones, I tell you. He was making them be serious by slapping them on the chest, which got them mad and ready for the match. And that was a nice little touch. And then you have Randy Orton in the back who pulls alpha dog status on Garza and Andrade, who are still not on the same page. And they're talking to Ric Flair in the back. I don't know what the heck Ric Flair is still doing at Raw when you have 30 to 40 employees allegedly coming down with COVID. But okay, let's take a chance with alleged. Is he
an $800,000 worth of debt again?
Who knows? He just wants to be there.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
And are you going to tell Ric Flair no?
What's he going to do? Sit at home, make some more rap videos? I mean, I would, but
I mean, yeah,
it's Ric Flair.
It's Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So here we have Big Show looking like he's taking things more seriously than Viking Raiders. You have Randy, who is looking like he's big shotting, to use his own words, Garza and Andrade. And then when it gets to the ring, the whole thing is just really about Big Show and Randy, and the Viking Raiders and Garza and Andrade are the ones kind of jumping around. And it's like you go to Vegas and you watch a show with magicians, and you got the magician's the centerpiece, and he has like one trick, and then you have all the dancing girls come in and do all this like rah rah around him. Well, now you got Andrade, Garza, and the Viking Raiders, the dancing girls, and the focus of the show is Big Show and Randy Orton. Did you feel differently about this? Did you enjoy this segment?
No.
Oh, okay. So why didn't you enjoy it?
Because I feel like you've been doing nothing but building Garza and Andrade and Zelina Vega really well, and the inner turmoils and all of that kind of stuff. And you've been building the Viking Raiders with Street Profits in a different kind of way, but we all came around on the whatever you can do, I can do better sort of thing. And then you're just going to come in and just squash all of that like a bug. And no, Bruce Pritchard, Randy Orton and Big Show. No, they're the important ones. No, don't mind all that stuff we've been doing the last few weeks. Randy Orton, Big Show, yeah.
It's the tag division.
It left us. Listen, it wasn't not fun. I did not enjoy it, but the whole time I had a sour taste in my mouth. Like, let the new guys have a shot. Like, just come on.
And even down to in the middle of the match, Garza is kind of messing around and mocking the Viking Raiders at one point where he's got the advantage. And Randy calls him out of the ring and chokes him out against the plexiglass, pushes him against the plexiglass, chokes him out and says, "Get your head in the game or I'll kick your ass." He's big leaguing. That's what I'm looking for. He's big leaguing Angel Garza. And if you know what happens when Randy Orton's accusing someone of big leaguing, if I were Angel Garza, I'd wash his neck after Randy grabbed him. Yeah. That being said, it made Randy seem like a big deal. It made him seem scary. And the fact that he essentially waited until Big Show was distracted enough to try to get an RKO off on him, and Big Show was able to push him off and narrowly escape it. And then at the end of the match, Orton sneaks in and gets an RKO on Eric of the Viking Raiders for the 1-2-3 and gets away with the win. That story is interesting. The story between Big Show and Randy is interesting because he's invested, and having the dynamics between all these different players is interesting.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but at the expense of the other guys,
at the expense of their seeming legitimacy.
Yeah.
Right. It makes them feel like next to Big Show and Orton, they're not as much of a big deal. It makes them not feel like stars. And right now, and this is always the case with WWE, we say you got to be building your future stars. Yeah. And you're not building future stars with the way that you're portraying everyone around Big Show and Randy here. It makes Big Show and Randy seem like the show, pardon the pun, and you've only got so much longer with Big Show for that and you've only got so much longer with Randy Orton for that. At some point, you got to let these other guys shine. And that was
starting to
not
sound like
the
me
case.
with the 4 horsewomen of NXT.
Yeah,
Kyle had
only
another
this
$5 in the
is-
super
son of a
chat.
bitch. Son of a bitch.
Garza, for the first time, needed to remove his pants after Orton and wish he wore brown. Also,
True.
Big Show slapping the War Machine into the Raiders. Love it. Well said.
I admit I laughed at that. I didn't. In hindsight, I was like, "Whoa, come on!" But at the time, I was like, "That was funny."
Yeah.
The way they sold that was pretty damn funny. What should we call? I mean, do you think that Randy and Angel Garza and Andrade are going to stick around together? Zelina seemed to like it. You know, it's kind of reminiscent of FTR KO. Like, should this remain a faction? Did it seem like they were building up a story here?
I feel like they had something going with them already, and we've sidelined that now for this. And that was the sour taste. I was like, no more. We didn't have any more of the infighting. Now it's not Andrade lecturing Garza and them at each other. It's now Randy Orton's lecturing Garza.
Well, why
I feel
lecturing Garza?
confused now.
Yeah. What should we, if they do stay a faction and Randy's able to get the two of them working on the same page, what should we call the faction?
I mean, I still want it to be LIJ. I still want the second coming of La Sombra. So
Las Víboras?
ooh.
Tranquilar KO?
Oh God.
What?
No.
That's good. No? Come on. Also, for some reason, Randy helped R-Truth backstage. R-Truth shows up, confuses Ric Flair for Akira Tozawa, and then runs away. And then Tozawa and all his ninjas show up, and Randy sends them off another way. Akira, by the way, selling Randy like he's Jesus, like he's just kind of like he's Vince McMahon. He's just like kind of gets all quiet. He's like, "Oh yes, sir. Sorry, didn't mean to bother you, sir." And then Randy sends him off the wrong direction. It was kind of an odd little segment. Didn't know what to make of that. Yeah. But finally, Billy Kay had a match with Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott once again getting up in the Mean Girls' his face and talking a big game, and then getting taken out by Billy's less than stellar finishing move. Her turnbuckle eat defeat before that was actually much more impressive than her kind of weird attempt at a power bomb. But it's hard to follow up Peyton Royce's absolutely sick finisher from last week.
Yeah, that twisting brainbuster thing she does is I still go back and watch the GIF of that and it's just like, good Lord.
Ruby Riott, though, they're making it pretty obvious. They're saying Ruby has no friends, Liv's not returning her calls. It looks like we're heading towards Iconics versus a reformed Riot Squad. Is that the right direction to go? Is it a good idea to have a women's tag team mid-card, for lack of a better description? No. What?
No.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
No.
Explain yourself.
What's the Michael Scott? No! Just God,
What?
please, no!
Why no?
But we have had our eyes on Ruby Riott since she was feuding with Asuka and Nikki Cross for the NXT Women's Championship 3 years ago. And we've been saying, Ember Moon got hurt, with apologies to Ember, but we've been saying that Ruby and Ember were waiting in the wings until the time was right. Ruby went out and had double shoulder surgery during this time, and we thought, oh man, when she comes back, little finger wag, when she comes back, and here we are. The best thing we can do is try to somehow save Liv Morgan from her lesbian or bi dominatrix thing with Lana by pairing her back up with Ruby Riott after we destroy Ruby Riott and bury her to the point that she has to recruit Liv back to the Riott Squad. So why is Ruby Riott not competing for one of the top titles or at least contending for it?
Because all the top titles are being it's a very, very thick top of the card right now in the women's division.
Bayley and Sasha has everything.
And Asuka. And you've got Io Shirai down in NXT. You've also got you've got Nikki and Alexa also involved in as well. So you've got 6 women involved in the title picture right now, just on this brand. You've got a bunch of other women over on SmackDown that I would say are higher in line than Liv and Ruby. So the best thing that could happen for Liv and Ruby is to reform their tag team and at least be doing something, because at some point they might get a shot at the tag titles. And one start to that is them in the story, and with this story in the Iconics, start the mid card, build it up, get to the higher card. Let's face it, Ruby, much like Shayna Baszler, is not Vince's quote unquote cup of tea in terms of what checks his boxes.
Right.
So the only way you're going to see her get any kind of momentum is if she's with a hot blonde. Look at Nikki Cross. If she hadn't been stuck in this thing with Alexa, who knows where she'd be now? Probably doing a very similar thing to Ruby right now. So I'm willing to let this play out and see where this is going.
Sure.
Nick, on the way out of Raw, can we say, like, should we commend the number of moving parts they have on this show in most of the main story elements? Because it keeps a lot of these segments unpredictable, energetic, entertaining. Like they're getting a lot of people on TV. They're giving them all something to do. For the most part, I would argue they're making people look good. No one's really looking like an idiot right now in terms of how they're being portrayed. Like, even if you're losing matches, you don't go out looking like a fool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Cedric got beat by Lashley and then crushed in a full Nelson, but it's Lashley. He's being built to be a monster, and they held up for a while in that match. Kyrie looked good. Asuka looked good. Bayley looked good. Everyone except the only person who didn't look good is Heath Slater, and he's on the way out the door.
I thought he looked fantastic.
I mean, physically, I'm in terms of like
and
his
promo.
match. He got crushed, but
that was a resume-building event.
Okay, well,
absolutely
agreed.
was. The other thing I want to
that.
say, and Kyle, thank you in the chat. Thank you for the reminder. If you have not watched Raw Talk,
Yes,
please
thank
do.
you.
Because I know we're in a hurry to get out of Raw here, and so we got a lot to talk about with New Japan. But that promo by Ruby Riott, mwah,
Mwah.
it's up there. It's not quite Miz talking smack caliber, but it's
what is though?
It's good. It's really,
real
really good. And
it's
she drops a couple of little hint bombs in there too.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
make sure you go and do that. Well, there you go, guys. There's Raw. I think we got one more week's worth of shows beyond SmackDown this week before we get to Extreme Rules Horror Show, Extreme Rules.
Horror Show at Extreme Rules. Extreme
Show.
Horror Rule Show. Show of horror with rules that are extreme.
Yeah. So we'll break down the matches and everything like that next week once we get through SmackDown and we see what the actual go-home shows and the card is finally solidifying up to be. But Ian, I can't wait any longer. I absolutely cannot wait anymore. We have to go over and talk about what things have transpired over in New Japan.
Nick is so excited. He's stumbling over himself, and I can't blame him because New Japan Cup. Oh, we've had so much since we last talked about it, Nick. So much has happened. We had 4 shows. 4 shows from New Japan, from the New Japan Cup, all the way up to the semifinals. We now know who will be facing off in the finals of the New Japan Cup the night before Dominion, and whoever wins that goes on to face double champ, Intercontinental and Heavyweight Champion Tetsuya Naito at Dominion. And I gotta say, I was half right about who was going to be in the finals.
Yep.
But damn, I didn't see the other one coming. Nick, you and I both were pretty much right on A block and B block. I was right until the quarterfinals, and then oh boy,
no idea.
I was right till the semifinals, and then just did not see that one coming.
Yeah, I mean the only one that I lucked out on was Tai Chi going over Tanahashi, but
Yes.
everything else was pretty much just nope.
But you didn't see Taichi beating Ibushi.
Who did?
Which happened.
Who did?
I don't know. That happened on July 1st. On June 24th, before that, Okada beat Nagata. Makabe lost to Tomohiro Ishii. Hiromu Takahashi finally, well, he didn't fully exorcise his demons, but he did beat Toru Yano and didn't lose that much more of his hair to to Yano, who's now has remembered that he loves shaving Hiromu's head. And Ishimori beat Kanemaru. July 1st, as we said, Taichi beat Ibushi, and Taichi was one of the surprises in the New Japan Cup, how far he got. Sho lost to Sonata. Goto lost to Evil, which was kind of surprising, and that was a pretty cool match. And Yoshihashi, kind of not surprisingly, lost to Bushi. He beat Bushi. Yoshihashi beat Bushi, which I don't think was surprising, but Bushi did take out Yoshihashi's leg, which came back to bite him on July 2nd when Evil and Yoshihashi didn't even have a match. Evil just came out and destroyed Yoshihashi's leg, just tore his leg off, which is probably one of the most entertained I was in the entire New Japan Cup, is just because everyone knows I'm not a big Yoshihashi fan. He bores me to tears. So having Evil just destroy his leg and not even really have a match was freaking hilarious to me. You also had Hiromu Takahashi and Tomohiro Ishii having probably the best match of the New Japan Cup. If you're going to watch
really
one
close
match,
between that and the Okada match.
Agreed. Takahashi definitely had a lights out New Japan Cup. I know he was your call to win it all. He did beat Ishii, which is a big deal because Ishii is a heavyweight and Takahashi is the junior heavyweight champion. So that was a big deal, a big match. I think the best match of the tournament. July 2nd, if you want to check that one out. Okada beat Taiji Ishimori in a very strange match because that was definitely kind of an odd pairing. Ishimori, one of the smaller juniors, so it was from the get-go kind of, it seemed like a David and Goliath kind of match. And then Sonata finally put away Taichi, for which I will always be grateful. Finally put away that son of a bitch. And then July 3rd happened, Nick. Okada versus Hiromu Takahashi, dream match.
Yeah.
And that's probably the second best match of the whole tournament. And this is what we said it was going to come down to. You said Hiromu was taking this. I said Okada. Okada was the winner of this and is going on to the finals. Over in B block, however, the semifinals, Evil versus Sonata. Sonata being my call to go face Okada and continue their rivalry. Both of them Los Ingobernables. So that was a nice sort of
former tag team partners,
former
just all
multiple
kinds of
time
stuff.
tag champions. Yeah, lots of history. And the way this match started with them going for the handshake, and then Evil just right off, you find out Evil is gonna do whatever he can. He's gonna do Sonata dirty any way he can this match, and he did. Evil was pulling out all the stops, chair shots, low blows, and ultimately in the biggest upset of the tournament besides Taichi Ibushi, Evil beats Sonata to face Okada in the finals. My mind explode, Nick.
That whole right side, that whole B block, that whole right side of the bracket, just halfway through it, I was just like,
it's for
all right, I'm done.
The B stood for bracket busting bullshit is what the B block stood for.
Figure out what that is. Okay, do the whole what you doodle.
We are back.
We're back.
We're back.
Yeah. So wherever you were saying the whole what?
The whole issue I have here is Evil versus Okada. The whole time, Sonata has been built up as like the good guy of the two of them. Obviously, Evil's named Evil for a damn reason. But he's also been kind of put forward as being the better wrestler, the guy who's more likely in line to get a title shot at some point. He's had a long-standing feud with Okada. There was more of a story between him and Okada. It seemed to make more sense. I had Sonata winning the whole thing, so obviously I'm biased.
Yeah.
Evil Okada, is that an exciting final to you?
I'm not listen, only if Evil goes out and does what he's done throughout the entire B block to get to the final, and that's basically destroy everybody. If Evil comes out and, dare I say, embarrasses Okada, and we end up with LIJ versus LIJ, Evil, who seemingly has turned on his faction brothers at this point, and we have that at Dominion with him and Naito for both belts. You kind of have my attention, but I don't think it's going to be the case.
We've had LIJ versus LIJ before. They've shown that they're resilient to that. They've shown that they're fine with inner faction competition. And Naito's even said, hey, if it's Evil, no matter what, the belts are staying within LIJ, so I don't care, is basically how he's put it. So they've already kind of taken that aspect out of it. But for not only that, that's just more interesting than having an Okada Naito rematch already. Like it's too soon for Okada Naito again.
Yeah.
Like that's not an interesting rematch at this point. We don't want Naito to have to face Okada again. And God forbid he loses to Okada. Can you imagine that? You put the belts right back on Okada and Naito's basically been a lame duck champ because he hasn't been able to defend his titles at all.
We haven't really had it. We haven't had anything since New Beginnings, have we? Right after Wrestle Kingdom, nothing.
He was supposed to have a non-title match against Hiromu, and that's why I know you wanted to see Hiromu versus Naito is kind of a gimme for that. But yeah, if you have Okada Naito, what are you gonna do? You have Naito Evil. You can have Naito beat Evil, and then Evil has learned his place in LIJ. Fine.
Or
It's
what
still
Kyle
not.
says. I like Kyle booking in the chat, by the way. Evil betrays Naito and LIJ, maybe joins Gato and Jay White and Kenta in Bullet Club, and takes both titles over there. That's a lot more interesting than Okada Naito all over again, or Okada
And
2 belts all over again.
agreed, and it's likely because Gato has been messing with Okada this entire tournament, including during the match that they actually had. So we've established that Gato has been lurking. So if Gato does come in and help Evil win this, that's a great storyline. You just got a year's worth of booking right there based on that. If it's just straight up Okada beats Naito or Okada faces Naito, that's a big dropped ball.
If you had Taichi beat Kota Ibushi just to put the belts back on Okada, like, you're investing in something here. That's what I read into this. And maybe it's tinfoil hat reading into stuff too much. But you're willing to take those kinds of matches and those kinds of upsets to invest in Evil getting all the way to the final. And if you don't pay that off, what the hell was the point?
What was this all for?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely we're walking a tightrope here, Gato, Mr. Booker man.
We got 4 days, guys.
Yeah, come on, don't do us dirty. The secondary feuds. Let's talk about those that were built up through this as well. Ibushi and Tanahashi, part of the whole reason why we had Zack and Taichi beating them up in the tag matches, and then of course Taichi running through both Tanahashi and Ibushi, was to promote the tag match. Tanahashi and Ibushi being the tag champs. They're now going to be facing Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. at Dominion. So that got built up. We've also got what basically the second half of the cup. Anytime that there was a tag match, it was LIJ versus some variation of Chaos or just the good guys, with Sho being there. Sho is facing Shingo at Dominion for the Never title. And to me, that one kind of got ground into the dirt. Whereas I get it. I get it. Shingo keeps challenging Sho. They're spinning their wheels on that one. Whereas I feel like the Ibushi Tanahashi one, with the amount of damage that Taichi and Zack have inflicted to Tanahashi's knee, and with how pissed off they've made Kota Ibushi, I've got to say that one's a hot feud. That one I feel they've built up nicely. But they should have spent more time on it and less time on Sho and Shingo, which got a lot of time it didn't need.
I am very interested to see if we get an Ibushi Taichi sort of program out of that match. That'll be an interesting one for me to see.
It's a step down for Ibushi, but it could be a big deal for Taichi if they do that.
Yeah. I think even you said he end of last year or something like that. He's primed for a run.
Taichi?
I feel like you feel like you said that somewhere.
He's definitely being powered up. They're powering him up more in matches, where they're making him look like more of a genuine threat beyond just being a cheater. They're making him look like he can actually run a match. So
maybe it was out of the G1 last year or something. I can't remember what it was.
It's going to be a very interesting G1 when it comes to these guys this year.
And Hiromu going up against the heavyweights. Are we going to see a run from Hiromu in the G1 this year?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. He's back. Let's let him work. I know he wants to work. Finally, Hirai Kawato returns from excursion as Master Wato in what I can only describe as one of the most underwhelming returns I've ever seen in New Japan. If you didn't see this, the entire cup, they were running this promo of like a bamboo forest and what kind of looked like Ip Man, fighting in the trees. Like all you're seeing is like legs and some punches get thrown, and it was called Way to the Grandmaster. And so the last night, the Grandmaster shows himself, and it turns out that he's Master Wato, who I can only describe as looking like a 16-year-old who drank too much milk, dyed his hair blue, and watched a couple of like fake kung fu videos on YouTube. And he comes out to the ring and tries to act all serious like he's a kung fu master, and then gets beaten up by Doki, which has got to be the most ignominious way to go out on your re-debut. Like, Okada's re-debut was bad. This was way worse. Like, this was just, it was embarrassingly bad. The gimmick looked terrible. He didn't look convincing, and he got beat up by Doki. So, oh my God. This was bad. And I don't know if it was intentionally bad or not. That's how bad it was. Where I'm like, are they actually taking the piss here? Like, are they ribbing us all? I couldn't tell, Nick. I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
but it was bad. Just to wrap up New Japan here, Yo and Yoshihashi both out with legit knee injuries. That's why they wrote Yoshihashi out the way that they did, and Yo went out early in the tournament. Are we going to miss him?
Who's going to take pinfalls now?
Oh, Jesus Christ. God damn. Well, that is New Japan.
Hey, before we get out of here, we have to we've made our picks. Are you sticking with Okada over Evil?
No,
to face Naito at.
Now I want Evil. I want Evil to upset. I want Kyle booking Evil defect. Go to Bullet Club. That's the most exciting outcome. Otherwise, like they're gonna have to do something.
Or does Suzuki-gun need a new leader? Oh
no, I see Bullet Club over Suzuki-gun.
Okay.
We thought Minoru was on his way out. Now he seems like he's sticking around. So.
Yeah, that's true.
They signed him.
I'm picking Evil purely on the aspect that all of this was worthless if you don't have some kind of LIJ breakup coming off the back of an Okada
breakup,
lawsuit.
just some sort of tension in LIJ. Yeah, something. Just make it more tense.
Maybe he and Naito are fighting for power, for leadership of the group.
Have Evil just be evil.
Yeah.
Right? Have him be evil to Naito. No Kata. No Kata.
No Kata.
Hashtag no Kata. And that's New Japan.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And, guys, we're going to wrap things up as we always do with our moment of positivity. Mop, 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 mop.
The mop, the moment of positivity. That's right. It's the time in the show where we say something nice. We leave you on a positive note. We give you something to think about that it gives you a smile. Tell you what we had the fuzzies from this week, Nick. The moment, the philosophical consideration, whatever it was this week that made us feel happy on the inside, and we can share that with everyone so that this show isn't just all about griping and bitching and moaning about the graphs, but it's actually we're looking at something constructive and positive on the way out of here. What was your moment of positivity for this week, sir? And you've actually got a little bit more room than I do because I did my mop on Saturday with JB, so you got 2 shows worth of mop to get through.
Well, I'm going to tell a little story here. It's going to be a quick one. Right?
Okay.
From Nick perspective.
It's not going to be a Matt Riddle story?
No.
You weren't dancing with bears with your tittles out?
No.
Okay.
It was nearly midnight on Saturday night. I had just gotten back the night before, and we had a big 4th of July. I had tucked the lady in bed, and I was sitting down to edit the shows that Sir Ian Dangerous and JB had recorded on Saturday. And I literally sent Ian the text, "I can't stop smiling. This is so fun being outside the box, listening from the bleachers. You guys killed it."
Oh, dude.
It was, I can't express to you, I actually went up and did the math. We've done 318 episodes.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, there's been only 1 or 2 other times where I've been able to, like, it's almost an existential kind of, like I'm outside of my body listening into our show. There's only been a couple of times. And having edited over 300 episodes of this show, it's always kind of a new perspective. And just hearing you guys have fun. I know you're getting to record locally again, so I had a little bit of those feelings of the old Sherman Oaks place when we first got started, and a little bit of that was coming in and things like that. But I had this feeling of, there's so much more we could do with JB.
Yeah.
And you guys killed it, and I absolutely want to invite JB to be a staple of the show at some point, and all of those things. Thank you, JB. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was my absolute.
I would obviously love to extend that invitation as well. That's up to her and her timing. She's a busy lady, so.
That was my moment of positivity. Was Saturday night,
man.
editing the show that you got, both shows. One of them's up on YouTube now. The other one will be up there tonight, the patron mailbag episode.
Yeah.
But both of them are on the podcast feed. So you guys enjoy. You guys both killed it.
Aww.
Also, enjoy the new Hornswoggle bumper.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for giving us the Hornswoggle. I appreciate it. And thank you to Hornswoggle for that.
Yeah, thank you to Hornswoggle.
Thank you to Hornswoggle. And thank you to JB for coming on the show and sitting in for Nick. And I guess thank you for helping me not suck, JB.
Yes.
I didn't. It wasn't me. It was JB being that good at what she does. But yeah, and well. Thank you very much again, man. Mine's going to be kind of underwhelming after that main event of Raw. That was lights out. Absolutely fantastic. I was hyped after that match. I was hyped. It was just so much energy. Both women getting shots in. Stiff as hell with Asuka throwing some serious strikes, almost too much. I would say she threw a potato, but that's like a mashed potato because that's what Bayley's face must have felt like after getting hit with that shot. That was an awesome main event, and I that is why if Nick, Lord knows we've seen more WWE than any human has any right to over the years. And we've seen it be good. We've seen it be god awful. And when it's good, it's such a relief because, when we do the show, like there's times I've got stuff to do. I might skip Raw, save it to the next day. This show keeps us on a schedule. I've got to watch Raw at a certain time. I've got to watch. I can't skip it. If I have to watch it, that's the kind of match I want to see. I want to see something that's exciting, engaging. I care about the people. Everyone's being entertaining. It's good wrestling. It's a good story. Mwah.
Well said.
It's a relief, and it's my moment of positivity.
Oh, very nice. I think I also finally found instead of us doing the mop thing, I think I finally found a little bumper stinger for us to introduce the moment of positivity. And that's JB going, moppity mop mop. I can cut that little bit out. I literally had to pause the edit when I was doing that and just replay that 3 or 4 times. It's so good. Moppity mop mop.
First time doing it, so.
It's so good. Thank you so much, JB. Guys, that's our show. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys this weekend. Obviously, we got AEW Dynamite and NXT tomorrow night. A big night happening in NXT tomorrow night for sure. We've also got night 2 of Fyter Fest. Week 2, I should say, of Fyter Fest happening. Big Wednesday night tomorrow night on both shows.
Huge.
So make sure you're in our Discord. You can find links to that down in the description below or on our social media profiles. We will be in there for the live chats. Thank you guys for always keeping it lively in there. And then Friday we got SmackDown, and then Okada versus Evil in the final of the New Japan Cup. I guess technically Saturday morning.
Friday night, Saturday morning,
depending on where you are. Depending on where you are in the world, yeah.
It'll be done before our Saturday show, so we'll have all of that on Saturday, building up for Dominion on Saturday night. So it's going to be a crazy end of the week. Our show on Saturday is going to be absolutely madness. So come tune in for it. It's going to be insane.
New Japan Cup final, Dominion, Extreme Rules next weekend. Lots of stuff going on, but you want to make sure you're in our Discord so you can keep up with all of this stuff.
Indeed.
Again, make sure you're subscribed here at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BWO Podcast. And make sure you get into our Facebook discussion group. Like our page, send us a join request. And the good sheriff will get us in, or Andy and Lyle will get you into the group. Thank you guys so much for all of your contributions there. But my name is Nick Howell. You can nope, reset. I forgot something. Patrons. Cannot forget about you guys.
Don't you forget about the patrons.
I cannot. I'm sorry. Please. I need 10 lashes.
Forget about patrons. Don't. No.
Patreon.com/BWO is where you can get access to some exclusives like bonus episodes, Skype calls every month with Nick and Suri and Dangerous, all kinds of good stuff over there. Bonus episodes, patron pick'ems challenges for the Big 4 pay-per-views, all kinds of good stuff. Thank you to all of our patrons. Really appreciate it. And it is the best way to support the show every single month, and we love you guys for it. We are on the race to 100 patrons, which means Nick has to cook up something else because we did something for 20, we did something for 50.
You gotta get Naya in the background there. Gotta pull her down a little bit, man. You can barely see her.
There's a whole design architectural diagram happening right now for a whole new wide angle on the camera and a backdrop that's being done right now. So stay tuned for that.
God.
But I'm gonna we've done the Naya shrine, we've done the Naya ringtone. Now I got to figure out what to do when we hit 100.
Mm.
Got to bring it home. Got to do it big.
Mm.
There we go. Well, my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But my gosh!
Somebody stop the damn match!
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.